So guys, we're here in Wrestlemania, April 7th. We're finally here after months and months of waiting. Second time at MetLife.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first video edition of Straight to the Mat podcast, where this is your host, the Ravishing one, Ravishing Rick, aka Mr. Big Money Rick, reflected by my zip code. So 1000 something. I won't put that all out there, but look through some numbers, you'll figure it out. Usually accompanied by my boy, the NES, the Cerebral Analyst, the NES Classic, the Super NES, or as ladies like to refer to him, the 16 bits of glory, if you will. That's because he's, well, rumor has it that he's packing 16 inches of glory somewhere. Might be a little TMI, but story has it that the kid growing up had to go to the chiropractor because he was always slouching over. People thought, hey, is this kid depressed? Might as well have got his head down. Fact of the matter is, he always had to look down so he wouldn't trip over himself. Several chiropractors to correct his posture over the years, and I still think he wears a back brace because he's always constantly needed to make sure he doesn't trip over himself. But some of us are just lucky that way, I guess. Anyways, so he's not here today. I took a day off from work because I figured, shit, let me just shoot the breeze here. Originally, we had planned to do this thing at Wrestlemania 35 Sunday, April 7th, in the parking lot where we're going to tailgate and stuff like that. But look, you start drinking, you start packing them down, bunch of people around you, music blasting, blaring, whether it was like hip hop. I think there was like rave, little mini EDC going in one section of that parking lot where we were by. People, going with the WWE entrance theme songs and stuff like that. It was classics. So just the environment didn't lend itself to be as conducive as I had originally thought or hoped. But either way, let's get this rolling. I don't want to waste everybody's time talking about, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and whatever. But essentially, let's just talk about it, right? I mean, this was like a huge weekend for wrestling fans all over the world. Not just here in New York, right? Native New Yorker, right? So WrestleMania 35, I was there for WrestleMania 29, and WrestleMania 29 was great, but like this one just seemed bigger, better, and there were a lot of things going on this weekend. You had NXT, you had the Hall of Fame, WrestleMania 35, Raw, SmackDown. You're gonna definitely get 205 Live tonight, taping, right? Today's Tuesday the 8th, so SmackDown being taped tonight. I was fortunate enough to go to a couple of these events. I just want to give a special shout out to my boy PJ for always keeping us in mind and hooking us up with some tickets to the NXT show. We're accompanied by him, his lovely girlfriend, a couple of his friends, and Nestor, my boy. We just had a great time Friday. We had amazing seats. The NXT show was everything you expect the NXT show and brand to be. And like the greatest thing about their pay-per-views, it doesn't matter whether it's Mania Time, Rumble, Survivor Series, whenever you're going to do one of these takeover shows, the product isn't diluted, right? So you're not oversaturated with like these 12 pay-per-views, every month, right? So you get these spread out throughout the year, and I think that's what makes these events special. A lot of things, are on display on that particular night, whether it's a special entrance gear, these guys and women going the extra mile and like just doing these like things that like blow your mind. To me, I think the match that really stole the show that night, well, I guess there's like two, but to me, the one that definitely stole the show for me was the War Raiders versus Aleister Black and Ricochet. That match had everything you would ever want. You had the War Raiders, who have like this like strong style, this like power style, right? And they're also agile as fuck. Now you look at the people who are like on the other side of the ring with them, Aleister Black, Ricochet. I don't even think I need to go like into what Ricochet like just brings to the table. Aleister Black's like a mixed bag. He's got this like MMA style, high flyer. I mean, the guy just has this presence, and this. I think Aleister Black is definitely the future of the WWE if they can invest their time in him. This guy's gonna make great matchups. I think got several different guys on the main roster. So can't wait to see what's gonna happen there. But I think their match had a little bit of everything. Towards the end, at the end of the match when the War Raiders hit their finisher, like there was this like fucking sick thud that you heard, and it was when they were delivering their finisher to Ricochet, right? Which was I guess like some sort of like a top rope finisher, right? Reminiscent of like teams like Legion of Doom, the Steiner brothers, right? So someone hoists the other guy up, and then someone comes out from the top rope, right? And it was a little scary because like you kind of just saw Ricochet just like kind of laying there. You know what I mean? At first you didn't know what it was. I'd imagine at this point it was like a work. It was like a work injury, and still kind of scary, right? I mean, if you don't see that X go up, then like that's a good thing, right? As long as you don't see the X, then there's like really, I guess really no super worries. It's like once you see that X, that's a thing. And then regardless, the move had it all. I mean, the match had it all, and by the moves. I mean, I'm just thinking about it right now. I got lost in my own thoughts. I think about this fucking how awesome this match was and being there live. You know what I mean? The crowd just, gave Aleister Black and Ricochet a great send-off at the end of the match, something they deserved. They've done like a lot of hard work. Aleister Black's been on the NXT brand a little longer than Ricochet, but like Ricochet's been there, and he's made an impact. He's made an impact, and I think that's the thing that makes someone from the NXT brand going to the next level. One of the guys that they can invest in. And I think Ricochet has it all. So for me, that was the tops. War Raiders kept the belts, and like I guess you kind of had this like feeling where you weren't sure if Aleister Black and Ricochet were going to take the titles. Maybe they were going to take it to Mania. And that would have been great, but I guess this is this was it for them, right? They're like, hey, now you're gonna be on the roster, the main roster, I should say, and that's usually what happens, right? Right after Mania, you get all these like kind of like roster moves and guys come up and whatnot. So wishing them best of luck. War Raiders. I mean, there's nothing else to say about them. I mean, when they were War Machine down in New Japan, I mean these guys were just as great and put in phenomenal matches every time you saw them. So that to me was the top match of the night for me personally. I mean that's just my opinion, right? The next match that was like just as good, and it could be argued that either one could be like either one of these is interchangeable, one or two, top match of the night, right? This would be the 2 out of 3 fall count, Johnny Gargano versus Adam Cole, baby, and that match was great. I mean that match was just like non-stop action. Johnny Gargano eventually took it at the end of the night, well deserved. Undisputed Era came to kind of like foil his plan to win the title and get that last fall when they tied up. But Gargano, he overcame the odds, pinned Adam Cole. And the cool thing about this was that at the end of the match, Tommaso Ciampa comes out, after he's had this, devastating neck injury, he had surgery, and he came out, and, just with open arms, hugs Gargano, the top of the ramp, and it was like a touching moment, you know what I mean? Because it's like, both these guys came in as DIY. Then Ciampa turns on Gargano, and they have these like crazy matches against each other. So there's like a lot of history there. So with Gargano now, with this strap, looks like he's going to stay at the NXT. Maybe he's going to be part of the NXT roster. for a little longer. Maybe he drops the belt at an NXT taping soon enough, and then he gets brought up to the main roster. But regardless of the fact, I'm like happy to see that he won that. That title. So it's gonna be interesting because I think for me, who I really want to see come up in the NXT roster, but I would love to have him, get that, NXT heavyweight title would be Velveteen Dream. I think the Dream is just like, he's just gonna be amazing. I mean, this guy kind of reminds me of, he's like an amalgamation of like different WWE superstars of the past, right? He's like bits Ravishing Rick Rude, there's parts Goldust there, Randy Savage, he's just got this look, and that's not to say that he's not his own person, because the Velveteen Dream for sure is his own individual, but I love how he pays homage to those past superstars. If I was a WWE superstar, I would definitely try to take some of that, make it my own, you know what I mean? And obviously the biggest influence there is Prince, right? With Velveteen Dream. So I just love how all those things work together. It's to me gimmicks like the Velveteen Dream and Goldust always stand out for me, because this is what wrestling is, right? At the end of the day, only in sports entertainment or in Hollywood as an actor, or theater, anything that involves some sort of theatrics, can you pull these things off? These bigger than life personas, because can you imagine someone walking into dinner, wedding in a very Aleister Black style, where they're just I can't, but you can pull that off in wrestling, or even on TV or in a movie or whatever, right? Any form of entertainment. I gotta say this NXT pay-per-view was great. I think the only match where I was kind of down on, but honestly it wasn't because it was a terrible match. I think maybe there was I'm a huge Bianca Belair fan too. I she did this double DVD spot, and wow, what a strong human, damn. But at the end, Shayna Baszler came in, took it, and I would love to see her come up to her main roster, and at some point I'd either love her to team up with Ronda Rousey, the Four Horsewomen, or just Ronda Rousey versus Shayna Baszler would be an amazing match. So NXT was great. We had great company. The show, we had a great time at the show. Even more amazing seats. There was no better way to start this weekend than by stepping into the Barclays Centers and having the privilege to watch this show, top to bottom. NXT TakeOver was amazing. I'm kind of jelly that they won't be here for the summer. It's usually out for SummerSlam. NXT TakeOver here too. But you know what? I'm looking forward to the next NXT TakeOver, pay-per-view special on the network, and I don't know. There's really not much that I can actually say about it. But the next thing on the agenda is actually so the next day, my mother's birthday. Saturday was an extremely long day. I got some bad news about my little pup, and just made things challenging. But whatever. I don't think anyone's really interested in that except for myself. But anyway, Saturday, April 6th, aside from my mom's birthday, it was the WWE Hall of Fame, and this is one of those things where I think it's just synonymous with WrestleMania weekend, right? It's always a Hall of Fame. There's before you think of NXT, Raw, SmackDown, it's all right, WrestleMania, okay, who's getting inducted to the Hall of Fame? And once we get closer to that time, it's all right, what's the Hall of Fame? And next day is WrestleMania, right? So those two things have always gone together, since they started inducting people. And they had some very notable additions to the WWE Hall of Fame this year. They had some very notable additions to the WWE Hall of Fame this year. The ones that stick out the most are all of the Generation X, including China, Johnny Lauer, and that one's huge and tremendous. I don't say because of DX, but I think more so the fact that they're including China, and China's had like a really amazing career and impact on the world of professional wrestling and sports entertainment, however you want to slice it and call it. She was a trailblazer and a pioneer for the women, and there's just no way that even in this fictitious, Hall of Fame that she should not have a place. You know what I mean? She's done so much, and unfortunately with that, there's controversy that kind of surrounds her, and we won't get into that stuff. I mean, look, everybody's got fucking skeletons in their fucking closet. I don't give two shits if you're a Catholic priest, if you're R. Kelly, if you're Michael Jackson, or just like a human. Like, we all fuck up some way, somehow. Whether you're cheating on your spouse, whether you take from the collection plate, whether you're the like worst human on earth, but you kind of like sail, mighty and high. You know what I mean? So everyone's got issues, substance abuse. You're just a fucking terrible person. You know what I mean? Maybe you've killed some people. You've never told anyone. We all have skeletons in our closet, and I think that's the thing with China. Unfortunately for her, her skeletons, because she was in the public eye, were a bit more out there for people to see. And whatever career decision she made after WWE, look, I respect everyone's hustle, and you know what? I don't even bat an eye at those things, because at the end of the day, like, we're all in this world to survive by any means necessary, and some ways are obviously a bit more like fulfilling and positive than others. In other ways, you just do what you gotta do to get by. Let's not judge, right? My point is that as long as you get yourself off a couch and out of wherever you're living, and you're fortunate enough to not be homeless and have opportunities to do something, do it. Go for it. As long as you're not like hurting anyone directly, whatever you do, and it's your business, right? So, anyways, for me, this whole DX being inducted to the Hall of Fame is awesome. And I think, again, as I mentioned, the thing that sticks out to me is Johnny Lauer, China, right? Being, the first baby steps they took was, acknowledging her passing away, right? There's just no way behind that. And then slowly, mentioning her more and more, a little more on television. And then finally this year inducting her. Like, thank you to the WWE, because, all of the WWE universe wanted this, and we wanted this for a long time. So thanks. And, this is not to say that she's never going to get inducted on her own, which I'm sure she will, because of what she's done for this industry. And the other thing that was cool too was, Billy Gunn being inducted, right? Billy Gunn, the ass man displaying here is WWE Hall of Champions Elite. I'm a geek, if you can't tell, just by looking at me, and this awesome ass Game of Thrones hoodie. Winter is coming next Sunday. I thought that was great. The WWE, took the time to like acknowledge this, like, Billy Gunn is part of DX. To induct Billy Gunn with, I should say to induct DX without Billy Gunn would kind of be like, it'd be like inducting Legion of Doom minus Animal or Hawk, and just like bringing in one of those guys and calling Legion of Doom, right? Like, there's certain things you can't get around, right? And, Billy Gunn is a, producer for AEW, and they poked some shots at him, obviously, during the during the ceremony, but it was pretty cool. You know what I mean? I was actually discussing with Vanessa, the other day that, and actually, our friend Ivan and Pete, who went with us to WrestleMania 35 and Raw, too, for this whole WrestleMania, WrestleMania weekend thing. We thought it was pretty cool that they were like, all right, Billy Gunn's coming into, we'll make some shots about AEW, whatever. But the thing with that is that, like, I think the cool thing about, like, the Hall of Fame weekend is that whether you are or aren't, like, associated with the WWE present day, like, this is the one time of the year where you can get, like, former talent who's not with the WWE under that, like, roof, if you had, let's say you're like a third generation wrestler, right, and they're inducting whether it's like that third generation superstars, like father or like grandfather or whatever, right, who's in the industry before them, and they're not associated with a company, chances are you see them there, and I think that's cool. It's like you're just like breaking the fourth wall here, and or like, all right, you know what? Although Monday through Friday, we are this like huge, machine known as the WWE. This Saturday is a day that we step away from that and we just like pay homage and acknowledge, the industry, and I think that's like awesome. You know what I mean? Like, there are people who are in that Hall of Fame that have never even stepped a ring in the WWE, like stepped foot in a ring for the WWE, I should say, and they're there, and if their family members happen to be someone who's in the industry but not affiliated with that company, or somehow that person's just affiliated with that superstar being inducted, like, those people are there, so the DX thing was awesome. And I guess, like, the everyone who got inducted, that's like awesome and that's cool, but I don't want to spend too much time on this. But, like, the thing that was, like, the most interesting part of this Hall of Fame induction was the Hart Foundation, Jim D'Anville Neidhart and Bret Hart's induction, right? So, Natty opens it up, then Bret goes on, right? And as, like, Bret's going on, he gets, like, tackled, right? And now, first and foremost, couple of things here. Like, who's like how crazy must you be to, like, attack current former WWE talent? Like, maybe it was like, all right, Bret Hart, maybe he's like a prime target because Bret Hart, his career was cut short by concussion. Bret Hart, unfortunately fell off his bike, causing him to have, like, hitting his head, causing him to have, like, this, like, stroke. So Bret Hart's just, like, a vulnerable person, and like, the first thing that I thought when I saw that was like, holy crap, like, hopefully this guy did not just cause this legend to, like, suffer some sort of, like, catastrophic injury, because even a slight bump to someone who's already suffered concussion, stroke, whatever, like, that can be so detrimental to their health that could have changed the course of history and Bret Hart's life forever. So first and foremost, I think my biggest concern was, like, all right, health. Like, is he okay? Did he suffer any kind of injury or anything like that? Thankfully that wasn't the case, because he did go on to finish his induction speech. And like, here's the thing, right? For me personally, like, look, I've been a wrestling fan since I was, I want to say 4, 5, and I got into wrestling because of my sister, right, who was 6 years older than me at the time. But as my sister got older, she just, like, completely fell off and stopped, because she's like, well, you know what, I'm an adult, and so I'm not watching this anymore. My sister was, like, living and leading a very, like, fun, great life. Wrestling just wasn't part of it, and that's cool. But it stuck with me, right? Like, at the age that I started watching it, it was just, like, this big part of my life growing up, and as I've grown up and matured, which is like a key word here, you know, I've kept an appreciation for sports entertainment. I mean, you know, I view sports entertainment, you know, wrestling, whether it's WWE, Impact, New Japan, Ring of Honor, you know, now AEW that's going to be coming, you know, no matter which brand, you know, which organization's wrestling product I watch, you know, which company, you know, I realize that, like, I'm 32, 33, I always, whatever, either or. My memory's a bit sloppy these days. But, you know, as I grow, my affinity and appreciation for, like, this form of entertainment stays with me. But I feel like, you know, there are like wrestling fans who give like wrestling fans like me a black eye. You know what I mean? And just give like the industry a black eye. You know what I mean? Like people who are just like juvenile at these events, like take it way too seriously, like chill. You know what I mean? There's no reason you should be at like a wrestling event inebriated, like to the point that like literally you're like getting up all in everyone's face when you're in the stands as an audience member. You shoot your load too early because like 5-10 minutes in you put so much energy that then you like literally pass out for like the remainder of the show. And to that guy, Darren Reardon, I believe the guy's name, who was sitting in front of me yesterday, yeah, I'm gonna put him on blast because like, you know, the whole time we were there, well, until he passed out 10 minutes into the show, he was like on his Facebook, and I was just like, yo, I gotta see who the fuck this loser's fucking name is. And like, sure enough, anyhow, so you know what I mean, I've been at shows where like I went to like a Raw a couple, like I think maybe a year ago or something like that. Maybe it was like the Raw after SummerSlam, 2018 SummerSlam. And there was just this guy in the audience that just like was ridiculously going off. Like homeboy literally had to be like 40 to 45 years old. I mean, grown ass fucking man, just making a fucking asshole of himself, like just trying to hijack the show because like Roman Reigns was in the whatever, and even Roman like turned around to acknowledge what was going on, because you know what I mean. Look, no matter where I'm at, I'm always constantly looking over my shoulder, and I can only imagine that in a rowdy crowd like here in New York City, people probably like, yo, some of these fucking people are crazy. And sure enough, you know, like this guy at the Hall of Fame, little you know, I don't know, like he must have obviously eaten too many like lead paint chips, you know, off his wall when he was a kid and killed some fucking brain cells. But you know what I mean, like why do wrestling fans, you know, take this shit so fucking personal? Like, dude, everything's like based on the script, like it's predetermined, and that's not me knocking wrestling. Like, I appreciate wrestling for what it is, but that's just it. Like, yo, appreciate wrestling for what it is. If you're a fan, don't be an asshole. You know what I mean? Like, the reason a lot of you wrestling fans, and I'm sure get made fun of and shit like that, is because your presentation, probably the way you act in real life. I mean, you know, I say that when anyone is somewhere and they're just acting rowdy, it's just an extra extension of who they are. Like, you know what I mean? Like, part of you is like, yo, you're just, when you get to asshole levels, like you literally are just like you're probably on a scale of 1 to 10. You know, in normal life, you're probably like an asshole on like level 1, 2, 3. But once, you know, you get things in your system, shit like that, then you become like the level 10 asshole. But there's just no reason to be an asshole. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I just like went on a rant, but I like hate the majority of you because you fucking all tarnish my time when I'm watching a show. And maybe I shouldn't say that, like I want like an audience or viewers, but I mean, I know the majority of us, like, who watch wrestling and are like mature fans, like think that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because like, yo, even when I was in my 20s and even in my teens when I was going to like wrestling events, like I wasn't a dick. I was just like trying to enjoy my fucking time. You know what I mean? I wasn't booing this thing that I spent money to go to, right? I went there to go appreciate it for its art form, because wrestling, like your favorite sport team, like your favorite, like, you know, professional fighter, whether it's MMA or boxing, Like, there's levels to this shit, and things go like this: up, down, down, up. The wrestling industry has peaks and valleys. You know what I'm saying? Highs and lows, lows and highs. Sometimes it's just somewhere in the middle, right? And it can go either way. But eventually, something happens where things get taken back up to 10 level. And you know, it's okay to complain, but like, don't fucking be an asshole and ruin it for people around you. You know what I mean? Like, I myself, the cerebral analyst, we are functioning members of society. We have great jobs, you know, and we're not throwing numbers out there at anyone, but we make a decent living, right? College graduates, and you know, no one would ever think the wiser when they meet me that I'm this like huge wrestling fan, right? And you know, the reason why that is because adapt. Do you know what I'm saying? Be a functioning member of society. You know, don't be a loser. And like, you know, let's just all mature as a fucking audience. Let's not fucking try to hijack shows. Let's not like attack legends and shit. You know what I mean? So that's my rant on some of these you know, on wrestling fandom. But let's go back to this Bret Hart thing, right? So this gentleman, Zachary Madison, comes out in this like Rastafarian hat with like dreads or whatever, and he literally tackles Bret Hart during his speech. Now, what ensues afterwards, it's like, holy shit. Fan footage is Shane McMahon, who, give or take, you know, might be good at this kickboxing stuff that he's been doing, you know. As I always tell people, I've done, you know, Muay Thai, I've done boxing, but because I can like spar a little, I can hit a bag, I can do combinations, doesn't make me an actual legit ass kicker. Because unless you actually put that to practice, you know, you're only as good as your actual real fights that you're in. But the second guy who rushed in there, all I need to say is the name Travis fucking Brown. Like, you fucked up, bro. Like, this guy literally rushes in with Shane. You know, this fucking moron gets taken to the ground, and Travis Brown proceeds to smash this fucking guy. Like, I mean, let me tell you, that is a big dude. But not only is that a big dude, that's a legit killer. Like, are you stupid or what? Like, the situation this fucking moron put himself, like, I wish more harm would have came to him because he was just a fucking moron. New Day goes in, Drake Maverick goes in, you know, I believe Harry Hart or, you know, Davey Boy Smith Jr., they kind of look similar, was there too. You know, thank you to those people who came in and, you know, just did whatever they had to do. You know, and that's not to take a shot at anyone who didn't go into the ring. I mean, look, the fact of the matter is, one of the things that I was telling NES, and I was even telling our friend Ivan and Pete, who I mentioned, I was like, I can only imagine that more people didn't rush in there because of what could be legal liability. You know what I mean? You know, some lawyer can plead, hey, this guy's insanity, da 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 da, and then, you know, sue these people or even press charges against these, like, you know, superstars, employees, you know, fans that were there who came into the ring, to dissolve the situation and like protect not just Bret Hart but like Natty Neidhart. Like, you know, Natalia was in the ring and, like, you know, she's there to honor her father. You know, she's there on his behalf, right, representing the you know, their part of their side of the family. And, you know, she's, you know, I'm sure she can take care of herself. But then at the end of the day, this guy could have come in there with a knife, you know, a gun potentially. I mean, The security at the Barclays Center, I'd say is fairly good one. You know what I mean? They make you go through, you know, whatever detector machine, you know, they kind of warn you, whatever. But you can always get something in some way, somehow. You know what I mean? So that's like this, that's like the scary part. And, you know, for me especially, Mr. Paranoia, you know, when I go out anywhere, like one of my main worries is always safety. Because I mean, we live in a crazy time. You know what I mean? And the fact of the matter, something like that can even happen at a wrestling event. It's just like, fuck. Every time I go, I'm always on my guard and like watching my six anyways. You know what I'm saying? Because me, I'm always ready to go. Like, that's a thing. Like, I mean, don't let these lasses fool you, but like, yo, if I had to like throw down, I'm gonna fuck somebody up, or I'm gonna try to fuck you up, and I'm gonna go down with the ship, even if I do like get like fucked up, you know. But you know, like that was that put such a bad taste, I think, too. You know, but needless to say, this happened. You know, broke up what should have just been like this like special moment in you know, wrestling history, you know, for this part of this big weekend. And, you know, thankfully no one was hurt. And, you know, thank you Dash Wilder, as everyone says, right? He just like, bam, just like that just looked like it hurt. I mean, that's coming from like what appears to be a stocky dude, but like a really like like tank of a guy. You know what I mean? So I mean, the fact of the matter that it would even occur to anyone to like just jump into a like wrestling ring or somewhere that's like surrounded by wrestlers, and like maybe some of these guys aren't legit ass kickers, but like, I mean, the fact of the matter is that like if you look at how some of these guys are built, I can almost guarantee you that even if they don't know how to throw a punch, if they do land a shot or they decide to put their hands on you, like literally they can probably like suffocate you to death. Like you're talking about strong people. Like when you look at that kind of physique, look at like some of these guys, look at their neck. You know what I mean? Like that should tell you everything you need to fucking know. Like alphas have thick ass fucking necks, and to be a WWE superstar, like you gotta be a fucking alpha in life. You know what I'm saying? You see someone with like a thin neck, you could probably fuck with them, probably. But someone with a thick neck, that just tells me that this fucking person has got some like ungodly like power somewhere. And if it's not just strength, then maybe some sort of like fucking mixed martial arts ability, boxing ability. Like people fuck around about Baron Corbin, but like Baron Corbin was legit fucking Golden Gloves and fucking played football, dude. Like this is a guy that no matter what you say at the end of the day, he can fuck you up, like legitimately fuck you up. So, you know, thank God. I mean, I also think that this guy can't even make bail, because no one's even post bail for him. Like, good. You should like stay in the cell for as long as you can, and like I hope anyone who's in there too, before they got in, saw the WWE Hall of Fame and knows that you're a fucking pussy, and they're like fucking you in the ass, because there's like no other way to like say that that's what you deserve. And you know, everyone else who got in WWE, great, huzzah. But I thought these were the two biggest ones, was whole DX, but specifically China. And thank you for including Billy Gunn in this too. The Hart Foundation, this is Bret Hart's second time into the wing, and what I would like to maybe one day see is if the actual like the Hart Foundation stable goes in, and that's, you know, hopefully someday they can make peace and they can get Owen Hart in there. But maybe that's like just a baby step to get in there, you know. Davey Boy Smith, Brian Pillman, Jim the Anvil, and Brett, you know, part of that stable. Those guys could go in. To me, that'd be like the greatest thing ever. But I would hope that they trump up security next time. But you know, needless to say, this year the stage was set up a little differently. It was like this like ring stage that they had, which kind of lent itself to have somebody maybe have a little bit too much time to get in. Unlike the other years where they actually have like a stage platform, which I think might be the way to go, or just beef up security next year. Put like snipers in the top and just like fucking kill on sight. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, but that was the WWE Hall of Fame. Nestor and Ivan both on a mandate got to see this stuff live and in action. And you know, Nestor said that he didn't even like. Well, Nestor, I'm sorry, the NES, right? Sorry if you don't guys know the full name. Even he said it was like lightning fast. Like, you know, you didn't even like, we just like look and turn away and you said, oh, what the fuck's going on, you know? But yeah, but that's that. But now let's move on, right? WrestleMania. WrestleMania 35. Wow. Whew. Just seeing WrestleMania 35 made me tired and winded. But just as tired and winded as I think the event was. Like, look, that was, I don't know, 8-hour event. Like, I lost track at some point. Like, all I know is that we went in at 5 o'clock. You know, we got there around 12:30 maybe. You know, we set up, we got in our spot, and we like tailgated, right? We bought sandwiches, snacks, drinks. You know, we had a great time over there. You know, it's always cool being surrounded by the community, you know? And, you know, the people that we were surrounded in the parking lot were not douches like this guy in the Hall of Fame or the guy who was sitting in front of me yesterday at Raw. But it was great, you know? I've been to SummerSlam, I've been to the Rumble, I've been to Survivor Series, you know, we've been to WrestleMania before, so I've been to the big four. But none of those had the feeling and the aura around it that like WrestleMania does, you know what I mean? And it's like, all right, this is the Super Bowl for like the wrestling community, you know what I mean? Like, this is it, you know? I think Wrestle Kingdom is the closest in comparison is to the, you know, spectacle and the, you know, grand nature of it all. You know what I mean? Like, these are the shows. You know, these are like, you know, if there's a, you know, if the Monday after Mania is like the season premiere, you know, WrestleMania is the, you know, season finale, right? And it's just this circle that, you know, everything starts the night after Mania, right? As like, you know, fresh, new, you know, new talent, returning talent. Like, you get all these like little things. And, you know, this Mania, I mean, this Mania card, you know, I was upset by some of, you know, some of the talent being used the way they were used, right? You know, I would have loved to see Shinsuke, you know, in a one-on-one match here at Mania for, you know, some grand big feud, because I mean, I think Shinsuke Nakamura is one of the most underutilized talents. Not to say that he hasn't been used and, you know, he hasn't had like a run, but I think he deserves a little more. You know, camera time, right? More camera time. He should be in more meaningful feuds, and I just think like, man, a Shinsuke like I've seen the NXT Shinsuke entrances, you know, here at the Barclays. We've seen the SummerSlam entrances here at the Barclay. You know, he had a cool WrestleMania entrance right last year, and like, oh man, I would have loved to have seen something like that this year. You know, like a grand old Shinsuke entrance. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see that because we saw him like involved in a tag team match with Rusev, right? But you know, whatever. You know, there was no Dean Ambrose on the card this year, which kind of sucks. You know, I'm not a big fan of the, you know, Andre, you know, the, you know, Battle Royal, Memorial Battle Royal. I'm not a big fan of that one. You know, I think like they should get rid of the Money in the Bank concept pay-per-view and like just, you know, do it here at Mania. Like, you know, give us, you know, like another like top caliber type of match. Like, if that card was riddled with a bunch of three-way, four-way, six-man type matches, you know, eight-man type matches that had some sort of meaning and context aside from like this like stupid statue, you know, and that's not to, you know, downplay, you know, Andre the Giant's like impact on wrestling, not at all. It's just like I don't think it's intriguing, you know. It's just like this gimmick match. Like, why are the Hardy Boys in this match and not like put into one of these tag team title matches? You know what I mean? Whether, you know, like, why not do like a big four-way for the Raw titles? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's fine. Like, it's not overkill for Mania because everyone understands that you're trying to get everyone in the ring, or I'm sorry, ring time, and trying to get them on a card to get them paid, you know, whatever. But you know, if you're gonna do something like an Andre the Giant battle royal, like take, you know, 4 more guys from there, maybe 2 separate tag teams that were in that match, like Gallows, Anderson, you know, the Hardys, and put them in that Raw title match. Do something, you know. Or you know, you could have put Gallows and Anderson for the SmackDown titles, and then you could have taken Ricochet and Aleister Black and put them on a Raw 4-way title match. You know what I mean? Like just ridiculous use of people. And speaking of Gallows and Anderson, we actually got to meet Gallows and Anderson yesterday, April the 8th or 7th. What date is today? It's been a long turmoil week. The 8th. April 8th, Monday. We actually met them while we were down in Brooklyn near the Barclays Center. Yeah, they were out and about just like enjoying life, and very humble guys, you know what I mean? They were nice enough to take the time out to just like take fans with us. I mean, take pictures with fans, I should say. And take, you know, and take a group shot with me and my friends that were there. And that was just like awesome. Like I was able to thank them for everything they've done for tag teams. You know, like Bullet Club, New Japan, you know, they're working in WWE, you know, I just let them know, like, thank you. I mean, you guys are appreciated, and, you know, the fact of the matter is they deserve to be higher on the, like, tag team card than they are right now, and, like, it's just whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure they'll get there, hopefully, and when they do get their next run, I still hope it's the WWE, because I hate to see them go. I mean, there's so much talent there. There's so many things you can do with guys like that, you know, it's a shame that that's not the way they're going, you know, with in what direction. Just feature them a little more, WWE, please. Like, these dudes are like fucking legit great workers, you know what I mean? Like, just give the Good Brothers a chance, you know, hashtag give Good Brothers a chance, right? And anyways, so yeah, so I mean, look, Mania was great. You know, I think with this Mania, there was like, you know, just check my notes. You know, with this Mania, there was just this whole allure to it this year. You know, the Beast versus the Beast Slayer, right? Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins. You had the Man, Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair, Ronda Rousey. Then you had Kofi going up against the new Daniel Bryan, right, for the WWE title. So these are all title matches, all world title matches. You know, the women's match was, you know, triple threat to unify the titles. You know, Charlotte was able to, you know, beat Asuka the week before, you know, the go home show for, you know, Mania. And, you know, it was like, all right, well, what are they gonna do? Are they gonna do some sort of 4 horsewomen thing at the end, where the 4 horsewomen version with, you know, Becky, Charlotte, Sasha, and, you know, Bailey come out with all the belts, you know, and celebrate, right? And it's like a whole big thing. Or is it like, you know, is Becky gonna win and unify the titles, right? Like, you know, so it was very interesting wrinkles. And, you know, so first and foremost, let's just start off with the Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar match, right? So this match was like great because this is what they open up the show with, right? Like, you know, Alexa comes out with Hulk Hogan and, you know, what you gonna do, brother? Welcome to the MetLife Center, dudes. You know, and damn, yo, Alexa Bliss, like, yo, that is a goddess. Like, that's just a beautiful woman. But anyways, moving on now. You know, like, this is how they open up the show, and what a great way to open up the show, because you know what, like, the thing is, I think the error that they've made in the past, and I like the way they kind of shuffled everything, was that, you know, when you're there for such a long period of time, you know, the wind gets taken out of you. You know, sitting down for a long time is just as fatiguing as, like, walking around and doing stuff all day and being active, right? So, you know, Paul Heyman comes down, right, and, you know, says, hey, look, if we're not going to be the last match on the card tonight, then we don't want to waste our time here. And if we're going to do this thing, let's do this thing right now. And Cue Brock Lesnar's music. Brock Lesnar comes out, the Beast Incarnate. Now, cue Seth Rollins' music. Seth Rollins comes down, and they go, right? You know, bell doesn't even ring. Brock Lesnar basically just like destroys Seth Rollins on the outside. You know, makes him his bitch, right? Takes him to Suplex City. You know, and Seth Rollins is just like wearing the scars of the match. You can see it on his back. It's all marked up. But, you know, at the end, Seth Rollins gets one over on Brock Lesnar, low blows him. And then, you know, well, he throws him to referee first, low blow. And then, you know, he continues on to, you know, hit 3 curb stomps. That third curb stomp, ding, 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 and, you know, your new WWE, you know, Universal Champion, Seth Rollins. And this is pretty cool. I mean, look, I don't really complain about Brock Lesnar being your WWE champion, because Universal Champion, or the WWE champion whenever, you know, he gets whatever belt, doesn't matter. You know, like, yes, it does suck that Universal title has kind of been held hostage by Brock Lesnar's contract, but, like, yo, I ain't here on Brock Lesnar, yo. Like, let's face the facts. If someone told me that for $12 million a year, I just need to go to work on a like limited schedule, like, yo, sign me up. Like, where do I sign up for that? Where do I sign up for like a handful of shows, you know, maybe tops 12 for the year, and, you know, 12 appearances for the year or whatever it is, and I'm gonna be making like 12 million. Like, I mean, if Brock Lesnar does not have the greatest agent negotiating to the product, this is a legit athlete, you know what I'm saying? Amateur wrestler, UFC fighter, you know, obviously WWE superstar before that. But the fact of the matter is that this guy brings eyes to the product, and, you know, the legit heat that he has with fans, I think, kind of adds that extra level of attention to the match, because you're like, man, I really want to see this guy lose, you know what I mean? But, you know, on the other side, the flip side of that is what I always say, that when you have a guy like Brock Lesnar, who's like a legit star athlete outside of the WWE, like, that's good for the fans, you know? When there's a possibility that you could, for only one time in history of wrestling, and you never know, maybe one day another one of, you know, WWE's athletes, or, you know, a pro wrestler from another company who has won a heavyweight title in one of their respective companies goes to the MMA world and maybe wins a UFC championship. Like, that's good for the business, because it attracts eyes to the product. Like, oh, where's this guy from again? What does he do? You know, it only helps the industry. But the thing, you know, that, you know, for me is like, it just can't be anybody. You know what I mean? There's nothing more prestigious than being a WWE World Heavyweight Champion or a Universal Champion, right? And then going over to like MMA and, let's say, winning their world title, whatever title they're competing for, right? There's only 2 people with the kind of notoriety that could have done something like this, I think, in this industry. That's Brock Lesnar, for sure, and potentially that could have been CM Punk, but we obviously saw, you know, CM Punk didn't have the greatest outings, and that's not knocking CM Punk, because, like, the fact of the matter is that he even had the balls to do something that, like, the majority of the population would not ever do in their life, is like something that should be applauded. Win or loss, there's just no reason anyone should fucking knock CM Punk. But CM Punk could have, you know, potentially brought those viewers over from the MMA world to the WWE, and Brock Lesnar does that. And actually, the only other person that does is Ronda Rousey. Right, Ronda Rousey. My apologies completely. You know, Ronda Rousey has definitely done that, but since she's retired from MMA, effectively she can't do what I'm about to say next, and that is, no point in history has anyone been able to claim they're a WWE champion and potentially have the ability to win a UFC title, right? Brock Lesnar could have done that. You know, had he kept that belt, maybe he could have got that match against DC. But you never know with the WWE. Brock Lesnar, for all we know, is still gainfully employed. negotiating, I should say gainfully employed by the WWE, negotiating with the UFC, gets a match with DC. Brock Lesnar goes in as WWE champion or Universal champion, because there's still a possibility that at some point down the line, before he has that match, he has a match for that title, wins and goes. But I'm sure Brock Lesnar spends a lot of his time away from the ring training for MMA. You know what I mean? So for me, it's like the guy's working regardless. It's just people aren't respecting that hustle. So, you know, although, you know, the WWE Universal title has been downplayed a bit because, you know, it's been around his waist and, you know, you haven't seen it as much. This title win means a lot for Seth and the belt, because, you know, Seth is going to be a fighting champion, right? So I think it's cool. I think it's cool to see Seth Rollins as champion. I'm a bigger fan of like a heel Seth Rollins, but you know, I can see, you know, how he's serving his purpose as a face right now. But it was a great match. You know, it was a great match. I don't think this match was supposed to be meant to be like a, you know, 5-star match. I think it was just meant to be this like brawl, this gritty brawl where, you know, Brock Lesnar's gonna do what Brock Lesnar does best, and that's beat the living shit out of whoever's in the ring with, right? And he did just that. But, you know, on this Sunday, you know, Seth Rollins took it. You know, he took it, got the win, and it was a great match. You know, I think it was just a great place to put that title match, because, you know, it's a great way to open up the show after the Goddess, of course. It's a great way to open up the show, and it's a great way to keep the fans interested in the match, because, you know, if you leave it for like later down the night, I mean, look, everyone's energy levels as that night was going went from here to slowly here. You know, even the women's main event like had people, you know, totally in it, but, you know, the energy levels were lower than they were prior. So that was great. And then the other match, which was, I actually thought, you know, this was going to open up the show or actually go on before the Universal title match, and this was the Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan match, right, for the WWE heavyweight title. So I thought this was a great match. You know what I mean? This was a great match with false finishes. You know, Kofi and Daniel Bryan, of course, are just like phenomenal. I think Daniel Bryan is always better as a heel than he is a face. You know, he just has the ability, I think, to like irk people, and especially with his gimmick now, I think it's just perfect. You know, we're fortunate to be able to have Daniel Bryan back after his whole, you know, CTE and early retirement. So, you know, we're fortunate we're able to, you know, even see this as a main event, and what we're more fortunate about is actually getting to see Kofi be part of this like heavyweight title match. And I think for us, I mean, this is fans. This is like the WWE right after the Royal Rumble took this stance, or a little before the Royal Rumble. I forget. It was the week before the Rumble, 2 weeks before the Rumble, after the Rumble. Before the Rumble, where the WWE's basically we're giving the WWE Universe the power, right? We're gonna listen to the fans, and, you know, we're gonna give you guys what you want, right? Or as Batista, give me what I want, give me what I want. You know, and they've done that. You know, I think to a point with Kofi. You know what I mean? Like, you know, Kofi's involvement in this match came at Mustafa, or I guess Ali's, you know, misfortune. You know, he got injured before the Elimination Chamber match, and then, you know, from the Elimination Chamber on, Kofi just had this momentum, and it's like you can see it was like one of those freak occurrences where things happen in wrestling and it just changes like everything. You know, and Kofi has benefited from this, and you know he deserves it. You know, you deserve it. You deserve it. And he does deserve it. Like, I mean, you know, it's like 11 years that he's been there, and I guess I don't know if this was like his first shot for heavyweight, you know, title. And, you know, the fact of the matter is, this is a guy who's like definitely been one of their better workers, puts on a hell of a show, is part of one of the like probably best like groups in WWE or stable in WWE history is the New Day, right? There's you know, there's nothing a bit more entertaining than the New Day when you're watching the WWE product. And you know, everyone was on Kofi's side. I mean, this is everything and more, I think, than fans could have asked for, because, you know, this is the WWE listening to the fans for once and giving us what we wanted. And, you know, everyone was like, Kofi Mania, Kofi Mania, Kofi Mania. And you know what? At the end of the day, I mean, you're never certain. You know, the guy could have gotten to Mania, but maybe he would not have won the match. But I mean, I think they've been building it that way where, you know, everything's kind of been pointed in a direction that eventually the payoff was going to be that Kofi's going to get this title win at Mania, and he did. And, you know, if there were a roof on the MetLife Center, Jews, it would have been blown off. I mean, everyone went crazy the minute that bell rung and Kofi, you know, got this win. And, you know, it was great to be part of that. You know, I've been fortunate and lucky enough to be part of different moments in wrestling history, the Curtain Call being one of those. And this was a great moment. This was a great time to be part of an event to see, like, you know, Kofi win. You know, he celebrated with Xavier Woods, Big E, with his children, and like that's a special moment for him. You know, like no matter how scripted the show can be, like you need to be of an elite caliber to even be in that match, right? So there was something there, which was like a perfect storm of things going, and it went in Kofi's direction, and you know, thankful for that. You know, so WWE, thank you for listening to the universe, and to Kofi, congratulations for being like one of the best talents out there in the WWE right now, and just like always putting on a performance. Doesn't matter where on the card he is, doesn't matter like what kind of match, you know, against how many people. I mean, the guy always delivers. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a Kofi match or Kofi being involved in something that just where he doesn't do his all. You know, this is why he's got this. He deserves it. So one of the other things here at Mania was Batista versus Triple H. I'm not gonna spend too much time on this, but it was like one of the bigger matches. I just want to focus kind of on the big matches that are on the card. This was a good match. You know, it was great seeing Batista back. You know, and again, one of the things I think that I was like find interesting and as a, you know, fan of this industry is, you know, when you get guys who move on but come back, you know what I mean? You know, I think people like The Rock, Batista, Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey, you know, once they get that, you know, cross appeal, you know what I mean, where they can venture into this, and this, you know, it's helpful for the WWE product. And as a wrestling fan, everyone should be happy that, you know, these established stars move on to do bigger and better things, because there's, you know, with that kind of notoriety, it brings eyes and changes the public perception of the wrestling product. Like, I mean, you know, like for me, like wrestling should be whimsical and, you know, full of fantasy and whatever, but you know, let's you know, wrestling should be kind of like the way it was in the 80s, right? Or the rock and wrestling kind of movement where, you know, yes, it was over the top, but you know, it was in the eyes, it was in mainstream eyes, and like everyone wanted to be a part of this, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I think wrestling needs to mature in that sense, you know, and you know, it's always great, you know, it's always great because, like, look, when people like The Rock come back, that brings viewers. When people like Batista step away, make, you know, get these like great title, you know, these great roles, I should say, in these you know, movies, you know, like it legitimizes, it makes that perception that these people are just, you know, muscle heads, you know, that these people have like more to offer. You know what I mean? You know, it's great, and to see Batista back and, you know, wanted this to be his final match was great too. You know, I wish he could have had I wish he would have wanted maybe to have like a bit more of a run, you know, maybe whether it's a month or 2 month run, you know, whatever. That would have been cool, you know, and then the payoff could have been this match against Triple H, but it was good. It was good for what it was. You know, I don't think anyone expected to see, like, you know, these guys blow the roof off, but I think people did expect them to deliver, and it was a really well-built feud. You know, they started it off at Ric Flair's 70th, you know, birthday bash at Raw, and then kind of went from there, right? Whether it was with tweets, videos, Batista just being there and going on a rant with security, his own security, or just showing up, saying something, dropping the mic and walking away. I mean, you know, the build-up was there. You know, it was a good match. You know, Batista kind of tripped on his way in, and I hate to like kind of bring that up, but it kind of did, like, unfortunately, it kind of like diminished anything going forward after that, because everyone saw it and was like, oh, here we go. You know, it's like one little thing like that, right? You know, but good match. You know, I think it was worth it for sure. You know, the other interesting thing that happened was the Elias thing, and then you know, he was doing this like video performance, right, with him on piano, him on drums, and then him in the ring with the guitar and, you know, on the mic, and then, you know, all of a sudden, cue Thugonomics, right, the doctor of Thugonomics makes his return, John Cena, and like, I mean, the roof, again, there is no roof, but if there was a roof, the roof would have blown the fuck off, and like, it would have gone from Jersey, literally landed somewhere in like upper, you know, the upper side of Manhattan, you know, and like probably crushed and killed a lot of people. That's just like how explosive that was. This was great. This was great. This was fun. Hopefully we're gonna see more of this Dr. Thugonomics. I'd imagine, if anything, maybe he'll be on SmackDown, or if not, maybe Raw the week after, because he wasn't on Raw yesterday, spoiler alert. But yeah, it was great. But, you know, he said something interesting where he said, you're now witnessing the return of heel Cena. And I wonder if that holds true. Like, is he back as a heel? Because this is what everyone's been wanting. Like, I mean, again, if they're listening to the fans, right, whether it's John Cena making the decision or, you know, the top brass, where it's like everyone was wanting a heel Cena for the longest time, much like Roman Reigns. Everyone wants to see Roman Reigns turn heel, because it's like you can almost see that these guys work better as heels because everyone hates them already. But it's not like Steve Austin, right, where Steve Austin was this anti-hero and he was like already kind of a heel, you know? And then when he did go heel, people weren't about it because, well, isn't he heel already? Like, what's going on, right? But with like Cena and Roman Reigns, I mean, that works, you know, because everyone's so against them. It's like ridiculous. But, you know, like John Cena, no matter what, is good at what he does. He doesn't need to be the greatest like in-ring wrestler, but he delivers. That's big money John, right? And that was great, man. Everyone was like losing it when you saw that. It was like very retro throwback, and you know, I think everyone kind of just like loves, you know, when something like this, you know, like happens, like, you know, returning back to the whole gimmick, you know, it's the nostalgia factor, right? That's I think the word that I was like kind of thinking about was the nostalgia factor of it was great, you know, like I love it. That's what I love wrestling. I love nostalgia, you know, but I don't like nostalgic acts like when they're geriatric and stuff, but I do like nostalgia when they're like still able-bodied to do it and it works. So we'll see where that goes. Elias is actually one of my favorites. And like, you know what? To this point, I almost feel like Elias doesn't even need to have like a match or matches the, you know, the way you would think someone would need to get themselves over. Like Elias is way over, and I think he definitely works better as a heel. And, you know, and I hope that they do more things with Elias, like some sort of title run or something like that. But he's definitely going to be, I think, a key ingredient to the WWE success in the future, and you know, that's going to be all kinds of like awesome when it happens. Then the next thing on the list is there was like no Undertaker at Mania, which was like confusing. So I thought maybe, you know, Taker was going to come out and confront Elias, or Taker was going to have some sort of impromptu match against the Demon King, you know, or interject himself somewhere somehow. You know, there was rumors of a Sting Undertaker match, but I don't even think that's even possible at this point, because I think Sting has some like serious spinal stenosis as a result of a freak injury he had against the match at Night of Champions against Seth Rollins. So, you know, that would have been interesting, but not to skip all over the place, but you know, at Raw we got Leaner Taker. Homeboy came out like literally in just his long leathered coat, pants, boots, hat, and like just wearing no shirt. And oddly enough, I mean, I think like a week or something ago, I had seen this post on Instagram, or I saw this post on Instagram, where he was just like talking about this diet that he's following, and you know how he's like loving it and he's looking great. And to be honest, seeing him on Raw the next, showing up against Elias, as I originally thought it, was gonna happen at WrestleMania, because everyone loves like a Mania moment, right? Might have served a better purpose of done it that way, and then to not break his like appearance streak at Mania, at least, because all other streaks have been broken now. And had Cena show up on Raw, but it served its purpose. And Taker basically said in his post, "Look, I'm not done. I have another run in me, and I believe, like, I'm telling you, the Undertaker is essentially getting paid a lot of money to show up very, like, the minimal amount of times a year." And, he's always been a Vince guy. And I don't think at this point, if he didn't leave to WCW, where he could have made, like, shitloads of money many years ago, I don't think he would do it now. Because I don't think the Undertaker's body can even, like, command or demand the kind of schedule that, might be entailed at, like, an AEW. So I think WWE uses him right. Maybe he does have another run in him. And, that's why these freaking wrestling marks are, like, the worst sometimes, because they're, like, you read too much into shit, like, just fucking lax. And, like, WWE's, like, not WWE, I should say wrestling sometimes becomes, like, this, like, little gossip girl universe. And no offense to women and girls, but that kind of happens, and that kind of shit's kind of annoying sometimes. So I'm just, like, glad it worked out the way it did. And WWE, for all we know, the WWE did the right thing, and the Undertaker's gonna be under the WWE umbrella for a while, even if he's like a StarCast or whatever. So who cares? But that was great. That was great seeing the Undertaker looking good. Doesn't look like the heavier version of the Undertaker, but look, to the guy's credit, man, he shows up when he shows up, does what he does. He's been wrestling with, like, a broken down body for a lot longer than people, I think, assume, or even take a guess at. But he's back and he's looking good, and I think we're gonna get something here. And it looks like, I'm sure whatever happened to Elias may not be just like a one and done. If it isn't, this is like a way to get him over. But yeah, that was great. It's always great being able to witness the Undertaker's, like, entrance. Like, it's just, there's nothing like it. I at this point have witnessed Undertaker entrances for like 3 decades now. Like, that's something. The 90s, 2000s, and now 2010 on, right? And he's just a constant in WWE, so we appreciate it. It's great to be part of that yesterday. Yeah, so now the other one was the Demon King versus Bobby Lashley. I'm not gonna spend too much time about it. Whatever, I think Bobby Lashley should be used a little differently than he does, but that's a side point. But it was great also witnessing the Demon King's entrance. Like, these are just, like, grand spectacles, and what I love about the Demon King gimmick is that it's not oversaturated. They do save it for special occasions. Sometimes I think they forget to acknowledge that they've used it when they're like, "Oh, we haven't seen it since da-da-da-da," like we saw it at SummerSlam. And I think they said that they didn't, and then they corrected themselves, but no big deal. Anyway, so yeah, Demon King of Mania, great entrance. The thing with Finn Balor is I also think Finn Balor should be higher up on the card than he is, and I think that one of the things that I've always wanted to see was not necessarily the Bullet Club, but, like, give us a version of something that we know is there, and you don't even need to allude to it, like that. Hey, this is the Bullet Club. You can call it Balor Club, whatever, right? But it'd be great to see Finn Balor, AJ Styles, Carl Anderson, and Luke Gallows together. Like, WWE, this is what the fans have been wanting. Give it to us, please. With the Superstar shakeup, I pray that we can get this, because it gives every one of those guys a push and a rub. And I think a heel Balor would be great. And I think that allows him to kind of change the demon gimmick a little too if he goes heel using it. But maybe he just resorts to being the rock and roller of wrestling when he goes heel. But who knows? But either way, gets the INC belt back. Great. He always delivers. Bobby Lashley does too. And, like, that was a great match. And I hope to see like a Seth versus, like, Finn Balor match, or maybe Kofi versus Finn Balor match, and I hope to see that Finn gets some real like heavyweight title run this time, because if they position him with the INC belt, they must be planning something more than just that, I think, with him. So that basically covers all the like kind of bullet points of shit. So now we're gonna leave the best for last, much like the WWE did, was the women's main event, the triple threat. But before we go on, I have a confession to make, and something I've been holding in for a long time. But I am into a man. That's right. I never thought I'd say this, but better late than never. But that man is Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch is the man. She looks strong, she looks feisty, she looks fierce, but she looks like a hell of a cuddler. I am telling you, that is one hot woman. Can't deny it anymore. I mean, I don't like to cuddle, but I would love to cuddle the hell out of her. I mean, and that just sounds kind of weird too, but she is, aside from being like great in the ring and on the promo, she is one delicious lady. Actually, I had really never noticed until my friend Patrick, the Madness, who's been part of the audio version of this, but now currently a daddy, and congrats, brought it up, and I was like, holy shit, bro, you're like totally right. She is hot, and I've never actually, from that day that we mentioned it, it's just like, I've been on full Becky chub, but anyways, moving on. So this is the thing we've been waiting for, right? Was women to headline WrestleMania and headline a Mania main event, right? And we finally got it. And I think the women's revolution started minus Ronda Rousey, but once Ronda Rousey got placed into it, like, again, this is why I say that sometimes it's cool for there to be cross-brand appeal, because, like, again, Ronda, former women's champion in the UFC, comes over. She's a huge wrestling fan, and we knew this, right, going in. She brings eyes and notoriety that and this is no way meant to disrespect the women on the WWE roster, but in a way that they can't. They're no one's gonna have a bigger following than Ronda Rousey, right? So now with this, you have Charlotte Flair, who's part of the Flair dynasty, and she's amazing, an amazing worker. Becky Lynch, who's an amazing worker, but was just kind of always overshadowed by the other three women of their four horsewomen, right? Charlotte, Becky, Sasha. But at this year's SummerSlam, Charlotte versus Becky, and even though Becky went heel there, like, everyone was rooting for Becky. Like, we all wanted Becky to win that night, right? Becky with the good hair, right? So it goes without saying that Becky Lynch, there's this cult following there, and they've been teasing us with her being in the match, out of the match, injured, and it's just been this huge build-up because she's been anti-establishment, and you know what, she is like, she's doing something that no one in that like women's division has been able to do, and that's just like get everyone behind them, get all the universe behind them, and it's great to see that. I think this was just like a perfect storm of different moving pieces that came together to get these women where they were. Would I love to have seen it with like Sasha, Bailey, Charlotte, and Becky as being that first women's main event at Mania? Yes. But the fact that we got it, and the fact that I was able to be part of history, again, that's why you should follow Straight to the Mat. Like, why aren't you guys aren't following Straight to the Mat on Instagram? StraighTTOMAT. The fact of the matter is, it took someone like Ronda Rousey to bring those extra eyes and to put them in that main event. And you know, let's just go right into it. You know, Charlotte Flair made a spectacular entrance with a helicopter. That was pretty sick. That was pretty awesome. Ronda Rousey had Joan Jett there, you know, performing live. I feel bad for Joan Jett because she's a legend, and there were boos with Ronda, so I don't know if Joan Jett was confused and was like, are those boos for me? Or are those boos for Ronda? They were boos for Ronda, Joan. Like, everyone loved your performance, especially in New York City. Everyone loved that performance. And then you had Becky, the man. Again, if there was a roof, that roof would have been blown off, and it would have, like, landed somewhere far, far, far. You know, and look, this match delivered. Again, it was late into the evening. You've been there for 8-9 hours. You're exhausted longer than that if you've been tailgating there all day. And we got the match we deserved. Some people were saying, yeah, it was this botch ending. Who the fuck cares? Like, bar none, Becky Lynch took it. Becky Lynch wins. Becky Lynch is now the unified WWE Women's Champion. Becky 2 belts, and that has a hell of a ring to it. And you know what? I'm glad she won, and I hope that this just isn't like a momentary thing. And let's just hope that, you know, Becky gets no injuries, nothing that's going to derail her. But even now, I don't think anything has derailed the kind of momentum she has. And all the WWE does push her forward. And, you know, Charlotte's always going to be in that title picture. I mean, Charlotte Flair just has this, like, she's a star. No matter what, I think she's probably the biggest star in that women's division. She's an athlete. She is a hell of a performer. She's a gorgeous woman, and that's probably like I shouldn't even say that because that's just like such a like sexist thing to do. Like, I shouldn't work those words into her. But look, my point is she's just this total package. And you know, Ronda, thank you, Ronda, because I don't think you're as appreciated as you should be. And what you've done for this women's division is, you know, look, what you've done in a year for this women's division, like, I don't think anyone can, like, take that away from you. Like, you performed beyond expectations, and damn it, if you don't have a good match every night you go out there, like, your arsenal, your skill set, it's perfect. So thanks, and I hope that you come back, you know, at whatever point you do, or if maybe you're not even stepping away, like, you know, but thanks to the hard work that these women did and put in. And you know, Mania was great. Let's just wrap this up here. But this was a monumental like event, monumental couple of days. You know, something I'll never forget. And hopefully, you know, I can do this again in New York at some point again. And you know, now on to bigger and better things for the rest of the WWE universe in the year. Let's hope. All right. Well, thank you for giving me your time, and subscribe. You know, click that button for the likes or thumb down or whatever. Comment wherever the fuck you want to comment. Honestly, you know, words will never fucking kill me because, well, you know, I mean, typed up words just really don't mean shit. But anyways, thank you so much, and you know, give us a listen, and hopefully this is one of many that we're gonna put there, and you know. Big Money Rick, Ravishing Rick, signing off for Straight to the Mat. Hope you had a great time. Hope you had a great listen. And